Dawn in the desert, a clear and chilly November morning. We are near the city of Buckeye, Arizona, where a caravan of cars is arriving, carrying volunteers. For the next several hours, they will comb this unforgiving landscape, looking for a young man who's been missing since June of 2021. His name, Daniel Robinson. And leading the search, not law enforcement, but Daniel's father, David.
Where is everybody located?
For 9 painful months, Robinson and his team of volunteers, people he now calls family,
This is my family.
have been desperately trying to find any trace of his son.
He's a very bright, intelligent geologist. Anything that Daniel wanted to do, he would do it. He's born without a right hand, but he found ways to master anything that he wanted to do. You know, he's a geologist. Of course, Arizona is the ideal place.
In June 2021, Daniel had just begun a job doing field work at a desert well site. He'd always kept in close touch with his family back home in South Carolina. But around this time, Daniel suddenly stopped calling.
I tried to call his phone constantly. He wasn't answering.
In fact, the whole family tried calling Daniel. Nothing. His sister in Arizona checked his apartment. No one there.
I was worried. I didn't want to panic because I didn't want my children to panic, so that's when I decided to call the Buckeye Police Department.
The Buckeye PD is a small one with barely more than 100 officers. Nevertheless, they began investigating by first checking the area where Daniel was reportedly working. Nothing turned up. 2 days later, David Robinson, desperate for answers, felt he had to take matters into his own hands.
I just grabbed everything I had, threw it in my vehicle, and just started driving. And I made it here. I came straight through. Left South Carolina, came straight to Arizona.
Some 45 hours later, David arrived in this daunting desert, exhausted, but in a panic. His son was out here somewhere, all alone, facing 3-digit heat, rattlesnakes, and not a soul or building in sight. So on his own, David started searching and soon made his way to the well site where his son was last seen.
This is where it all began. This is where the whole narrative started. My son drove off into the desert and vanished, maybe from here.
David then met with a witness, a co-worker of his son's, who said he saw Daniel at the well the day he disappeared.
He did tell me that my son seemed like he was looking out into space somewhere, looking out into the desert terrain, kind of staring off, and was acting really quiet. And then he told me my son just kind of waved off to him, got in his vehicle, and drove off.
Where he went and what exactly happened next, no one seems to know. Soon after that meeting, David began recruiting volunteers to help him search the sprawling Sonoran Desert. Every Saturday for the next few weeks, they scoured this barren, treacherous landscape. They have not found Daniel. Then, in July 2021, a break, a big one. A local rancher found Daniel's Jeep rolled over in a remote ravine.
When I first saw that crash site, I was really devastated. This place I had to go to and see for myself.
The airbags had deployed. The sunroof looked as if it had been kicked open, perhaps used as an escape route. And this was odd. Outside the Jeep were what appeared to be Daniel's clothes and work boots, his wallet still in his blue jeans. Inside the vehicle was his college ID, laptop, keys, cell phone, and plenty of bottled water. To help make sense of this mystery, David hired private investigator Jeff McGrath, an expert at reconstructing accidents. He has a theory of what might have happened.
There was nothing along this route that the vehicle took into that bottom ravine that matched the damage. It's telling me the vehicle was probably crashed somewhere else. Either moved here or it was continued to be driven, and this was its final stop. Whether somebody stole it in joyriding, whether Daniel was in it, but it tells me something happened somewhere else.
The Jeep has since been moved to a secured location for further analysis, but plenty of evidence still remains of the crash.
I don't believe it was enough to kill, no. The airbags had enough force to do some damage. They strike you in the face, and they come out with a lot of force, and it could cause a concussion. But there wasn't enough violence here in this crash to cause a lethal.
That suggests Daniel survived and was perhaps disoriented and maybe wandered aimlessly into the desert. Could this be other than accidental? Could foul play be involved in Daniel's disappearance? It's something McGrath and David have not ruled out. It's something police have examined too. To this point, there is no evidence of that. None at all. Whatever happened back in June of 2021 has David Robinson now bracing for the worst.
It's hard to say you're searching for your son, walking around the desert with no clothing, no shoes. So I had to mentally put it in my head that I'm doing a recovery. So I need to go find every spot I can out here to rescue my son. He may be hurt, injured, somewhere stuck, whatever. I need to find my son. I found something up here interesting.
David is hoping to get more attention, help, and resources from the Buckeye PD, which says this is still an ongoing investigation, although so far not a criminal one.
Okay, so we're still working this side.
He's also tried to enlist federal help. In the fall of 2021, the Buckeye PD briefed the FBI and asked for their assistance. The Bureau recently told us they're still assessing the case. So far, they have not gotten involved. So for now, David Robinson and his team of volunteers continue to search.
I really have faith that somehow God can bless that he's alive somewhere, and I hope so. I am not stopping. He's my son. He's my responsibility. He's a fighter. He never give up on anything. I definitely won't give up on him.
Daniel Robinson.
Saturday night, that question on the hearts and minds of Daniel Robinson's family and friends gathered at the state capitol asking for more to be done since the now 25-year-old geologist vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
My son is just not my son. He's also America's son, because this happened to a lot of families.
Since then, his father, David, organizing search parties hoping to find his son. Volunteers showing up week after week, standing strong with the Robinson family.
Daniel could be any one of us, and so we definitely need to bring awareness to the situation. If we don't speak up for him, and help find him, who will?
Daniel and my son went to the same high school.
felt it was my duty as his neighbor to be here to support him and really try to figure out where Daniel is and bring him home safe.
David's search parties found Daniel's Jeep Renegade rolled over in a ravine, airbags deployed, his clothing found inside out, boots and socks, wallet and laptop, no blood, no signs of injury, no signs of Daniel.
God knows how much we can bear, you know, and at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
But in his weakest times, David says it's the volunteers that provide him strength.
You know, everybody know that I call them my extended family. And so this visual is the same thing. We all here have one common goal, and that's to find Daniel and also to bring light what happened to other families.
As the Robinsons' extended family light candles tonight, their collective light shines towards that day when their question is answered and Daniel comes home. Josh Sanders, 12 News.
Yeah, I'm David Robinson, the father of Geologist Daniel Robinson. We're out here to do a candlelight visual on behalf of my son, and also to bring light into other families who are going through similar situations. So thank you. I'm thanking everybody who's out here to support. We need to stand in solidarity to bring attention to this case and to make a statement.
Oh, I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you.
My name is Daniel Robinson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at College of Charleston.
Good job.
David and I are really happy to be here, and we're really honored to share this story of a very special young man, and ask importantly David's journey to try to find his son. So that's really what we're going to talk about the case, but I think this journey that he's taken is remarkable. I think everybody can relate to. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Okay. So, David, let's start with Daniel. Who is Daniel? What is he like growing up?
Daniel, like any other typical child, he's the youngest of his group. He's the out of four. He's had two sisters and one older brother, and he always challenged him from childhood. You know, the first thing about Daniel we learned is his bone with one hand, of course. His right hand is his bone without that. Very loud child and screaming. Almost left no damage to the crawl. Again, I want to be heard. I want everybody to know who I am. Growing up, behave quickly. Like I said, challenges still wherever it was academically or it was just playing video games. He gonna make sure he's on top of the whole thing. So Dad taught himself how to play the French horn, and they played the trumpet, trombone. So he would play a little bit of sports. So he always challenges himself. He didn't let anything stop him. Once he got into college, he decided he wanted to be a geologist. He excelled that, and he also graduated with honors. So that's Daniel. That's the typical child he is. He also, like I say, family oriented. He anytime we have any type of conflict or they see his family, he's the one that's in that gap right there, the bridge together.
So you all stay close. Yeah. So is this like a daily talking kind of close, or once a week, happy Father's Day, or instrumental kind of close?
Well, midday don't talk daily. I'm sure you talk to his mother daily. You don't talk to his siblings, but it's so his friends. But we talk, when we do talk, Danny and I, we have 2-hour conversations every time. So I know when I'm talking today, I have to set aside that time. Hey, Danny, if I'm in the middle of something, I know I have to set aside because we're in a 2-hour conversation. But as I said, we do talk every day. Often, his family, still is, they talk every day.
And he got this love of geology from where? You're a retired military, so where did this come from? Do you know?
Thank you. Well, one thing is just like in that child, Danny did decide he wanted to try geology in his senior in high school. Where the passion came from, I'm not sure definitely. But once he got to college, he got kind of undecided in the freshman year. But he nailed it down within that year. He really enjoyed it. What he was learning from it.
So when we come to the summer of 2021, so we're coming up on a 1-year anniversary of what we're about to talk about. And summer of 2021, tell me about Daniel's world in Arizona. Where is he? What is it like? What's happening with him on a day-to-day basis with his job?
Well, Daniel, he always wanted, like I said, he wanted to show his manhood. Once he graduated from college, he came out to Arizona to start his career. One thing about Arizona is a place for him in geology. He loved the idea that he go hiking and get into nature. So Daniel often liked to hike. That's one of the favorite things that he liked to do when he's out there. Also, to show his manhood to me and his mother. Look, I'm on my own. I take care of myself now. He has one bedroom his apartment when he first came out, and he took care of stuff. So he got to show himself going up.
And where was he working at the time? What was a geologist exactly?
Yes. Well, he got hired on. He came straight out of college and got hired on a company called Matrix in the World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. What they do there is they hire him as a field geologist, and what a field geologist do is go out to these wells, check the viability of wells in Arizona. I don't know if that's in other states, but in Arizona, when they build a community, they have to have these wells, and those wells have to produce at least 100 years of water. His job is to determine that, and also the water is viable to be drunk. They can drink that water because of cellulose, the rock cellulose in the bottom. So he's a geologist, so he knows what type of rock they are. So that's why they hired him.
So this involves him daily getting into a Jeep, going out into rough terrain. You're all from South Carolina, is that right?
Yes, totally different.
It's a different world for him.
Yes, totally different. But he loved it. He challenged me all the time. Said, hey, he tried to find all kinds of ways to make me move to Arizona. Hey, Dad, I just love it here. I'm a tree guy, so but yeah, that's his daily job. You go out there and it's a different type thing, but he loves it.
You start kind of interviewing the people in the circle, or you go out to the side, or what happens?
Well, that was a long trip. You can imagine I'm doing everything from the car while I'm driving, talking to co-workers, to his company, to the police department, trying to get things done while I'm driving. Once I made it to Arizona, I did get a call from my auntie from Philly, telling me that the police department was putting a Phoenix Firebird, it's helicopter called a Phoenix Firebird in the air. I was relieved, but I was right there, so I'm like almost 3 days later. Once I got into town, the first thing I wanted to do was start my own investigation. And one of those things was to talk to the only person that saw my son last.
I have to think that your training in the Army had to have helped something. I mean, is it a grounding for you? I mean, I know that the love for your son certainly pushed you, but something about being in the military must have helped you.
It did a lot. One of the things that I learned when I was in the military is that we never leave a battle buddy behind, and that's no matter what. We were not leaving a soldier behind, and so my son, he's my son, and I'm definitely not leaving him behind. That's thank you. we have to get those appraisals done on the vehicle.
Thank you.
Everything that's out there. That's part of it. And I do need to go through. Yeah.
Name is made that. National database. I think that pop up on the that's a new thing. They
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I'm still searching for him. Thank you, everybody, for coming in to this morning Q&A. My name is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son, Daniel, he went missing at a well site out in Buckeye, Arizona on June 23rd. Like I said, he's from South Carolina. He graduated from the College of Charleston. Once he graduated out of College of Charleston, he immediately came out to Arizona, where he landed his job. He landed his job at a company called Matrix New World, also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. What he does is he was hired on as a field geologist, hydrogeologist, to check the viability of wells in communities, future communities in Arizona. There's a law that it have to have wells out in these communities, and these wells have to produce at least 100 years of water. His job is important. He had to determine if those wells can produce that amount of water and sustainability. And also he checked the viability of the well, as in the rock sediments, the things that coming out of the earth with the water that's coming out of the ground. So his job is very important. Daniel loved his career in geology. He wanted to expand his career by joining this company and to start off his life. Like I said, this is his first job. They have first moved out to Phoenix, Arizona, where he lived in a one-bedroom apartment. Then he moved from there to Tempe once he started making his money. Daniel has been taking care of himself. He's been very productive in his work ethics. Daniel started off with a small vehicle that he had to repair and fix almost daily. It came in handy for him because he was very proud of that vehicle, also because he learned everything since he was a child, how to change the oil, how to fix things on his vehicle. He learned that from myself. And so he was able to put those things in practice, but he also made sure he made it to work. He had very much he definitely wanted to make sure he making it work on time and do his job. So he had, like I said, great work ethics to make sure he's there. He started working there for a while. He started making his money that he really wanted to do. And he took that money and bought himself a vehicle, that Jeep Renegade that you see behind me. I'm very proud of that vehicle. Himself, his siblings, and me and his siblings, and we were supposed to all meet together here in Phoenix to spend time with each other. And also, Daniel wanted me to see this vehicle that he purchased. It was a symbol of his first vehicle that he have ever purchased for himself, and it was a sign of his manhood, his independency, and things like that. So Daniel's very proud of that vehicle. He's proud of what he's been doing since he's been here. I'm proud of him. His mothers are proud of him. His family and his entire family is very proud of him. Very bright, young, intelligent man. Daniel also wanted to be. He's an entrepreneur. Wanted to do some things in entrepreneurship. He also wanted to do a lot of investment. He wanted to travel abroad like I said, he wanted to see this world. He wanted to learn different cultures and things like that. He wanted to do it all. Then he have a bright future. He had a desire to be a multi-millionaire before he turns 30. And so he was doing everything he can to reach those goals. However, those goals were cut short when he decided to do what he do every day, go to work. He decided to go to work and do what he loved. I went out to a first well site around 7 in the morning, and then he ended up going to a second well site where he had met a guy from a company called Weber. He made it to Sun Valley Parkway. The guy from Weber met him out on the roadway. According to this worker, Daniel followed him into this desert. Off of Sun Valley Parkway, they drove a mile west, and then they had to drive 2 miles north to make it to this well site. So once they got to the well site, according to this worker, he and my son had a conversation about the weather. My son expressed that he was tired and that he wanted to go back to Phoenix. He asked him, did he want to go back to Phoenix? He told me that he declined my son's offer. And after that, my son pretty much waved to him, got in his vehicle, and drove off, and to never, ever be seen again to this date. According to that worker, he himself decided to go search for my son. And to do so, he made sure when he do so, he ended up noticing my son's tracks from his vehicle on the ground, and he followed those tracks, but he made sure that he stayed to the left of those tracks, so he didn't disturb them, because he knew the police were going to come looking, and this thing was going to turn big and go national. He also traveled to a T-junction where he noticed my son's vehicle tracks was going west. He again followed those tracks. He also made it to this gate. And once he got to the gate, he went into that gate. He drove another mile or so. And then he got out of his vehicle, started walking around, got up on a taller here, inclined to be able to look over out in the view to see if he can see my son's vehicle. He also told me that he used red paint to paint on rocks to, show the police departments where to go when they come looking, where the tracks led to. So my son, about him going missing, of course, our family is very devastated. I was at first really not really too worried at the beginning. My daughter called me, and when I was in South Carolina, said, "Hey, Dad, a coworker of Daniel came to the house." She didn't know how he knew where she lived, but she do remember his face. He did come over to her house before with Daniel. He came over there inquiring about Daniel. So once this worker left, she called me and alerted me that. So, of course, it's not a panic mode. It was one of those things where, hey, it's simple. Hey, go look at his house, go check his apartment, make sure to see if his car, his vehicle there. Let's go ahead and make these phone calls. So I started making calls to him. He wasn't answering his phone. That wasn't so troubling to Zach. I was a little, displeased at him not answering his phone at the time. But also I noticed the time. Once I noticed the time, Daniel, from the time they last seen him, just doing my due diligence, and to the time nobody still haven't heard of him, is well over 6 hours. Being that is well over 6 hours, that would trouble me because I know Daniel would never go that long without returning a call and without speaking to someone. So that's when I went into a slight panic mode. I want to make sure he's okay. I also want to make sure nothing happened to him. Somebody stole his car. So I was really reluctant to call the Tempe Police Department to have them do a welfare check. And the only reason why I was really slow of thinking is because, of everything that happened between black males and the police departments. I was really worried that since I was not here in Arizona, that, I'm sending officers over to my son's place. It would turn out to be a bad outcome between him and the cop for no reason. Of course, I had to go ahead and do that, make that phone call. I had the Tempe police to try to go do a welfare check. However, in between making that decision, I talked to the coworkers who said that Dane was last seen in an area called White Tank Mountains. Not knowing what that is, when I made that call to the Tempe Police Department, I expressed that to them and wanted to make sure they can go and check to make sure he was in his apartment. Because they heard that, they told me, hey, that's the last place your son had been seen. We cannot do this welfare check. You had to go talk to this Buckeye Police Department. Of course, that's the next step I had to go to. I went ahead and called the Buckeye Police Department to try to get a welfare check and tell them what was going on. They could not do a welfare check. They kind of said, hey, they wanted to send it out to Tempe, but they will check into if Tempe Police Department can do that welfare check. However, I told them I know my son, that my son wouldn't go this long without speaking to his family. I wanted to put in a missing persons report. This is not like Daniel. I just know that. They told me I had to wait 12 hours, a total of 12 hours. It wasn't 12 hours yet. I was 3 hours short of that. So they told me to call back and then do it then. Of course, I waited 3 hours from that point, called back, made the police report of a missing person. Once I did that, that's when the Buckeye Police Department, by the time it was night here in Arizona, it was Officer Cruz who took my son's case at the time and took all the information he can, started calling the coworkers. I continued to call the coworkers, my son's boss, and things like that. I kept in touch with the Buckeye Police Department. And from there, Officer Cruz told me that he would go on Sun Valley Parkway. Like, again, I didn't know what this road was, but he would go to Sun Valley Parkway and check to see if my son in that area, to check and see if my son is on the side of the road, stuck somewhere. I was really relieved to hear that. But as he was doing that, I'll call back to the company and find a little bit more. I can get information about Daniel at his job and found out that it was in the desert. Once I found it was a desert, I called the officer back. Hey, my son is out there in the desert somewhere. Possibly, can you please go out there and look for him? Send a helicopter out there to look for him, told him the vehicle that he's driving and things like that. The officer told me they couldn't do it because it's night, but they would do it in the morning. Of course, pacing the floor the entire night, made it to the next morning. Officer Haley called, who took over from Officer Cruz, and told me, yes, they would have a helicopter go out to the desert to search for my son. Very much happy about that. I feel a little at ease. Maybe they can find him and help him out. Maybe he did make the wrong turn, as this so-called guy at the well site was saying he made the wrong turn. That was, of course, the story back then. The officer expressed to me that morning also that this coworker said, this guy from Weber said that he made the wrong turn and went out to the desert. We also been making a bunch of phone calls and also heard that from local parks and things like that in the area that we was calling. There was one guy there that had a night shift, said, hey, I heard about this guy, about your son making a wrong turn out there into the desert. So everything was about this wrong turn. We didn't know what wrong turn meant, was a left, right, or anything like that, but it was a wrong turn. They also called me back almost an hour or so later and said, Mr. Robinson, this flight has been canceled. It's been unauthorized by his higher ups. He has nothing to do with it. They said he's a grown man. If he want to disappear, he can. After hearing that, I automatically knew what the story was behind that, and that I had to make a decision immediately to go out there in Arizona to find my son. Grab everything I could, got in my vehicle, started heading out west. I wasn't going to take that as an answer. You're not going to go out and search for my son. It took me almost 3 days to get out here, and almost that time I get a phone call as I was coming into Phoenix from my auntie from Phoenix, for Philadelphia, excuse me. She called and said, hey, David, they're going to put the bird in the air, this Phoenix Firebird helicopter. I'm very relieved to hear that. But like I said, it was almost 3 days later after my son was missing. They was out there saying they're doing the search. Of course, that search came back empty. At the time, I was still in search mode. But again, my name is David Robinson, father geologist Daniel Robinson. Just want to give you a little part of what story I had for my son. To continue that story, after getting out here to Arizona, Of course, I ended up starting my own searches, doing my own investigation, and lo and behold, this vehicle showed up almost 30 days later after my son went missing. And so some of that story happened from there. You guys, a lot of you know the story from that point. Those who are new here, of course, you can find a lot more about the story on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, some on this YouTube channel, Please Help Find Daniel. I have talked about it a lot. That's why I have the Q&A here. You guys can ask questions and find out more about what happened to my son and how you guys can help. So I love your questions. If you can give me those questions, that definitely would help. Also, if you guys can like, share, subscribe to this channel, that definitely would also help. I do have a tip line that's strolling down on the bottom of the screen for those who are new. If you see anything, heard anything, or know anything, please use that tip line. That any information that can bring Daniel back to me and my family, we truly, truly appreciate that. We'll be very grateful, and it'll be very helpful with any kind of information they have that will bring Daniel back. You thought you heard something, see something, just speak out. That's what tip lines are for. It's a paid service. I pay that. Live operators 24 hours, 7 days a week. We'll take your call. You can remain anonymous if you like. And, it also, if you guys don't want to talk to operators, this service will allow you to text the word tip right here, strolling on the bottom of the screen. Tip to that number. You can put tip, text the word tip there, and the form will come there, and you can still remain anonymous if you like. If you just want to speak to me directly and say, hey, look, I know what happened to your son, or I just want to say hello to you, or I have some suggestions where you did probably think of this, you can use the number that's strolling on the bottom of the screen, and that's the 803-200-7994 number. You can use that also to leave your comments, your suggestions, and also tips. I can tell you, if you do use that number, it would not be anonymous unless you're using some type of burner phone or something. Other than that, I can't provide that unless you use the tip number, like I said again, that I provide service with. Also, you have Please Help Find Daniel for information that you may have, that you need information you want to know, like, for instance, how you can help and things like that, and upcoming events and stuff like that. So please check out pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. You get a lot of information about the searches whenever the searches come back again. As you know, it's like on the bottom of the screen, the special operations desert searches have been temporarily paused until further notice. Of course, a lot of you all know the reason why I had to pause those for several reasons, so until then, I'm still working really hard to get those searches back out there, because, it's very important for me to finalize and finish those areas that haven't been searched yet out in the desert, to cover those and be done with it in those areas, because, I don't know what happened to my son. Only indication I have is this vehicle behind me in that ravine. Everything on my son's body on the ground in a pile, and things like that. The story. So this last place that I was told that my son was located, there's also some tips and things that would suggest my son is out there somewhere out there in that area, deceased or something. So there's a lot of things I had to check. As you know, my searches have been going over. I did the math last night. It's more than I thought. Doing over 40 some weeks of searches out there. It was only 30 some weeks of searches after the vehicle showed up. But before then, I've been doing searches before the vehicle showed up. It'd been over 40 some weeks of searches. And you guys, you can imagine during that time, we found all kinds of things. Of course, we found a lot of animal bones out there, but we did find human remains. We also found human skulls. So we did bring some closures to some families, and that's out there. The scary moment, a scary thought for me and my family, when we find things out there like that in that desert area where my son was last seen, reportedly last seen, that's very scary, because when I first started my searches, it was a rescue mission, but now it quickly turned over after so many weeks later. It started going down to a recovery mission instead of rescue, because nobody can humanistically walk a desert with no clothes on. Everything's stripped off his body, from his underwear to his socks, and he's braving the desert heat, 120-degree weather out there, and wild and in the elements. So I had to come to realization and be honest and say, hey, look, this is not a rescue, is a recovery, And, God can do anything, and I really know he can. However, I had to be realistic on my searches and while I'm out there for searching. However, because I don't know the total facts at the time, I was defending my own personal investigation. I have to also consider the fact that Daniel may have escaped somehow, or somebody have him a different location. So I had to start off the city searches, where we search all the hospitals. Well, when I say search, we send out information. You can't search the hospitals because you can't get information because of the HIPAA laws and things like that. But you can try to get some to some of the workers by giving them flyers. We had some really big flyers back then, the size of a paper. I had them all laminated, make mass flyers to take to these locations and try to give them out to these hospitals, to the homeless populations and things like that. Let's call it the city searches, which quickly end up turning into city distribution, where we're doing today. That's why you see the banner behind me. That's why you see, if you was to see the vehicle, you see the car magnets to the billboards, so you name it. This YouTube channel itself is to bring awareness to Daniel's case and try to get all the information I can out there. Maybe somebody knows something, or at the same time, if he's out there, he can see it, and also, say get information about people who may know something. So it helps in all kind of ways. So you guys, like I said, if you can, please, I'll share this YouTube channel, so I can get it out there. Father, help the algorithm, like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you want to go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, you can hit the volunteer in other ways tab. If you're not here in Arizona and you want to help a lot, you can do that by going to that tab and put in your information there. As you know, I have been doing this searching for my son, and doing so. Of course, I'm running to other families who's passionate just as much as I am of helping families. They are very passionate about coming out there in that desert. We'll start off at 5:45 in the morning, back when I first started my searches, and won't even finish till 4. The search was only from 5:45 to like 10 o'clock. But these guys, these people, they were very passionate about helping me find my son, so that we would stay out there sometimes really late, out there in that desert, 120-degree weather, braving that desert. But at the same time, I've been hearing these family stories, and hearing these stories. I mean, I wouldn't be human if I didn't have any compassion hearing about other families. Of course, that made me passionate about wanting to help other families. I know the hell I have been through, and my family has been through, the hell it is to try to get searches going, the hell of trying to keep funding coming in to keep these searches going. I mean, it is a whole lot of pressure and a lot of things you have to do, and that's a lot on the family. Very much on the family. I don't want to ever see a family going through the same things I had to go through just to get, for instance, national attention. I had to sit there and work hard for 3 months just to get a lot of local coverage, and also to put my son's name out there, like I say, nationally. So it's a lot of work. No other family should have to go through that. They gave me some passion. That's the birth of the Daniel Robinson Foundation. Of course, it bears my son's name. I'm still searching for my son. He inspired that. I wouldn't be out here in Arizona if my son hadn't gone missing. This is not a state of my choice. I'm here not on a vacation. I'm here to find my son. So you guys, the Daniel Robinson Foundation would help, would provide those things that I wish I could have had when when I'm out there in the desert searching for my son. For instance, the drones I had to have out there to properly, and still need to properly, do searches in certain areas. Of course, I reach out to every nonprofit you can name. I get suggestions from people here in the chats and things like that, who to call. I call those people, and of course, I didn't get any nonprofits to come out to help in my searches. Of course, I don't have any law enforcement help out there in the searches, but I do have people like yourself. It's a grassroots search. People like yourself who's just took their time out, like I said, and took their life out of a Saturday off their life, or a weekday off their life, to go out there in that desert to search my son, to come out, pass out these flyers. You guys coming to this channel here to just listen, and share and things like that. So all this is grassroots. We all became like a family. Everybody who's out there, who's helping and everything, they know, you all know I call you my extended family, because you are. I'm really grateful for everything you do. And also, you guys, you go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. You can also help by, like I said, spread this word. Some people ask me to send those flyers, get those flyers out to them. If you can't get them out there, also have a PDF that's on the pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. You guys can make those flyers if you like. Again, I do this every time. I know the team don't really like it, but the flyers, I got them here about the size. It probably kind of weird because it's green screen that's behind me. But, it's of course, it don't look like that, empty spaces, but that's the green screen. But you guys, it's about the size of a postcard is the way I have them there. And that's for the only reason I mentioned this because it's helpful. Like I said, the flyers was a lot bigger, the size of a paper. And I couldn't imagine somebody walking around that in their purse, a big laminated piece of paper and in their purse or things like that, their pockets. It's a lot easier for people to carry and they want to carry in their pocketbooks, their pockets and things like that. Also have some in the size of a business card for people to put in their wallets or things like that if they want it smaller. So I'm not asking you guys, you definitely have to do that, but it'd be helpful. However, if you can just get those PDF and you make it any way you want, it could be on a notebook paper. When I say notebook paper, about the size of a copy, print paper. However you can get the information out there is very helpful. But the PDF is there for you to be able to use and get those informations out there about Daniel. So there may have been somebody who was here in Arizona that day. My son was missing out there in that desert, and they so happened to move to Hawaii. And you guys, by putting that information out here, putting this channel out there, getting me those subscribers out there so the channel can grow. Maybe I can reach that person in Hawaii. Maybe reach that person in New York or Alaska or somewhere. So, or they may have moved to Germany, and we can reach that person out there in Germany. So. All this is, like I said, is a grassroots efforts, and it takes you guys to help me out. I need all the help I can get. I mean, though in my mind, regardless of the fact, I'm going to be out here fighting for my son. I'm not going to be out here looking for my son. I go out to the search for my son and do everything I can. It takes a lot, but I'm do everything I can to continue to search for my son. But I want to thank you all for your support and supporting me. I mean, I really love you, and I'm really grateful for you guys do that. Like, again, I said, don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate it if you can. So I want to start off, continue on with this Q&A by thanking a lot of you for coming out to the Q&A, like Mary Flynn. I really appreciate you coming out this morning to be part of this Q&A. Also, I'd like to thank you, Got Your Cake. Good morning to you. Yes, I really appreciate you taking your time out to be here. Thank you for being here. Jean, if I say your name correctly, I apologize, but thank you for being here this morning. Thank you, Renee, for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your prayers, and I really appreciate it. I need all the peace and strength that I can get, saying, as don't get the rest, saying, like I say, this is not a vacation. It's hard, constantly doing everything. Like I said, working with the foundation, but God bless me to now have a team who's out here that's helping me a whole lot. Also have a team who's really dedicated out there in the searches. So yeah, I've been blessed with all kind of teams out here. People, like I said, this grassroots. You guys are champion. I had Evan Short and Elaine and some of these other people that's out there in the searches out there. Rose and some of the others. You know who you are. Out there as a team to help me, Margarita, to be out there in those searches out there in the desert. So I haven't forgotten about anybody who's been a part, really part of helping me keep these things going. Also in the background, have other people out there just at night, and some of the others who's out there helping me with information, how to do certain things or connecting me with other people. So things like that. So all that runs together, and I'm really grateful for everybody who's part of that. Also, thank you, Alex, for being here. Thank you, Minnie, for being here. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Deb, for being here this morning. Also, thank you, Jennifer, for being here this morning. I really appreciate you coming out to be part of this Q&A. Thank you, T and Wildflowers. Thank you again for coming out. I see you come out every morning. I really appreciate you taking your time to do so. Thank you, Cat Lover 33, for being here. I really appreciate it for you coming out. Thank you, Sophia, for being here. Thanks for being part of that team I was just speaking about, and all the hard work and the connections that you bring into our team, and also to the board. So I'm really grateful for you being out here this morning to help out. Also, taking out time out of your own business to help with this effort to find Daniel. So Thank you. Also, thank you, Toby, from Toby for being here this morning. And thank you for your prayers. I really appreciate you reaching out from Facebook. God bless you for that. Thank you, Yunu, for everything you've doing, your passions, those information that you like to share, and also, like I said, doing all the things that you do in the background. I really appreciate it, and also being a moderator here in this Q&A. So thank you so much. Thank you, Forever Curious, for being here. Thank you for coming out again. Again, I really appreciate it. I got a moth flying around my head, you guys. But thank you for being here this morning. Thank you, Shauna, for being here this morning, being part of this Q&A, and also being part of being a board member, and also being part of the team. I'm really grateful for you being out here this morning. God bless you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming out to help. You said hello. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, guys. I'm really grateful for the team that I do have, and they coming out this morning. Again, I'm Dave Robinson, father of geologist Daniel Robinson, out here in Arizona to find my son. This is a Q&A for you guys to ask questions. Please don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button. Thank you, Yunu. And I really appreciate it. You guys can do that to help the algorithms get to going, and this help this YouTube channel to grow. I really appreciate that. To contact me, there's a number there. Thank you, Yunu. You guys can contact me with the number 803-200-7994. So you guys can, if you want to reach out to me, I really appreciate it. I try to get to everybody I can, fast as I can. I definitely would get back to you. Sometimes it's slow. Some people get lucky, and I get lucky to be able to answer to get back to you as soon as you call and things like that. So that's what my goal is. However, you can imagine I have a lot going on at times, so please bear with me if it take a while to answer your call back. But definitely I will do so. Thank you also, Barry, for being part of the team and everything you do in the background on the board and stuff. I'm really grateful for you, all your hard work and your intelligence. I really appreciate it that you're coming out this morning in this Q&A. Thanks so much. Thank you, Aaron Chase, for being here this morning. I'm glad. Thank you, guys. I was happy to be on CrimeCon also, yes. That platform has helped out a whole lot. I have a lot of connections that came along with that. Also putting Daniel out his name out there a lot farther in new places. There are people from all over this country, the United States, and also from abroad. Had a lot of people from Europe and things that was at the CrimeCon event. I was able to meet them and also spread those awareness to them. Also, I was able to meet a lot of celebrity faces. You guys may have known and see on TV and things like that. So they brought a lot of connections where Daniel's name can also be his story, his case can be put on their platforms and things like that. So those are some upcoming things that's happening, but I'm really grateful for that. And also gave the opportunity to express this the foundation that's coming up, Daniel Robinson Foundation, and to share information about that in that CrimeCon. So I'm really grateful to CrimeCon for allowing me to be on their platform to share Daniel's story. So again, I'm very grateful to CrimeCon for that. They really did everything they can to make sure that I can do that. So I want to thank them also. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Also, thank you, Shauna, again, for you being part of the team. Really helpful, grateful, really happy that you're here, your hard work, and your intelligence and everything that you bring to the board and things like that. So thank you. I really appreciate it. If you do have a question, everybody, when you ask those questions, you can start off with the capital letter Q, or you can put the word question there or a question mark. That will, like you have here, will help me. It will very much help me find your questions. I'll go down. That'll keep me from missing your question. If I do somehow miss your question, I'm not doing it. It's by accident. You guys can ask that question again, and I will get to it. So if I don't know the answer to a question, I will tell you that. If it's part of an investigation, I will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? So certain things, I'll tell you why I can't answer a certain question or whatever. But I'll try to get to every question that you ask. So I really need those questions. You guys have them. Please feel free to ask it. That's no dumb question. Sometimes you may hear some repetitive questions. Those repetitive questions come from people who may not just don't know. They don't know Dane's story. I go out all the time here in Arizona, passing out flyers and things like that. And I talk to people every time who haven't even heard of Daniel's story here in Arizona. So I go out to was in CrimeCon, of course.
you got thousands of people out there who never heard of Daniel's story. So, you know, that's the whole point. The whole point is to be able to get it out there and answer these questions. Some of you guys who supporting and come out every morning may hear some of the same things I even say. But that's what this channel is for Daniel to bring awareness and to get his story out there. However, at the same time, I'm asking anybody who you got a family member that's missing. If you want to talk about your family member that's missing, please reach out to me. I would love to have you on the show here on this channel. I would love to share that your person's story on this YouTube channel. That's what it's all about. You know, that's what the foundation is about, helping other families also. So, you know, what better time to start all of that is started now. So you guys have that, you know, please, that's what this platform is for that type of awareness. So thank you. If you can ask these questions, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Barry, again, for putting that up. I remember to hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate it. Again, like I say, they helped me get the word out a lot farther. So thank you so much. Also, T. Sophia, thank you for being here. Thank you for your hard work you have done in the past. I really appreciate your passion and things that you have done. So good morning to you. I really thankful for you being here this morning again, taking your mornings out to be a part of my Q&As. God bless you. I really appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Sophia, for putting this up. The Daniel Robinson Foundation has been filed, and we will share a website once it is completed. Yeah, as she was saying here, she's part of the board member. She's a board member there on the Daniel Robinson Foundation. We do have it filed, and we do have the process of the website coming up. So you guys look forward to that. You'll see some information on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, how you can find that website and how you know, find a lot more about the foundation. You hear see the mission statement there and things like that. So it's a lot of hard work, guys. I'm telling you, it's not just you know, it's a passion. And also, I'm out here to find my son. My son inspired that, you know. Daniel, he's a young man who always brings people together. Like I said, Daniel, if you look at the pictures, you can tell a lot of people love Daniel. He brings people together. I mean, look at it. You know, we all here talking about Daniel. We all here trying to help find Daniel. Even in this bad situation, that's what Daniel do. So I'm really grateful for the team that's helped me get this vision and to come into fruition. So I'm really grateful for them. Really, we're working hard in the background, getting this foundation up and running really well. So thank you, Sophia, for putting that out. She Rose Nation, thank you for being here. You constantly being here in the mornings, being a part of this Q&A. And I really appreciate that. Thank you, Cat Lovers 33, again for being here. I really appreciate you. I do have a question here from Got Your Cake. Thank you for your question. Have you used drones to aid with the search? Yes, I had. Yes, I have. Matter of fact, you know, we do have a lot of people come out in the searches out there in that desert who have drones. Like I said, it's a grassroots thing. I rely on what people bring out there in the searches a lot of times. And also I provide a lot of those equipments myself, and I have to things like the razors and stuff like that. But the drones, as in for those drones, yes, we have a lot of people with drones. But however, I have never have anybody who can bring those specialized drones that we need, the ones with infrared technologies and things like that, that would help me see ground disturbances and utilize those programs and stuff like that, for lack of words, to be able to do these specialized searches with these drones. We don't have those type of drones. They're very expensive. At times I was wanted to purchase those type of drones for the searches out there, for my efforts out there in the desert. However, I had to be really careful with people's money. You guys donate your money and you want me to use it responsibly, also to keep me here in Arizona, and also to get this information, these flyers and stuff like that out. So I mean, everything had to run together. And so I had to make sure I didn't overspend. And one of those things, though I needed it really bad, I did not ever get those drones. So, and I didn't find, and a lot of those nonprofits who had those drones simply didn't show up to these searches. So, you know, of course, that's what the foundation is there for. Eventually, that foundation will be able to provide some of those type things. So out there, not only for my son, but search for other families. So, yes, we utilize those drones. As a matter of fact, I did purchase a drone for the searches. Of course, it's not the specialized drones that I really need. The drones that we do help with the mapping system. It helps with us finding out areas that we need to search, or and then also it does help see some of the area before the volunteers we get out there on the ground. So, you know, there's a lot of safety aspects used with that drones. Like I said, when most of it's for mapping and to go back over a certain area, I can go back over and try to do like an area search of that grid, for instance. And regardless, drones help tremendously. But like I said, some of those specialized drones are very much needed for investigative wise, and also to do those really detailed searches out there for my son. So, and get to areas that we can't get to on foot. We need those vehicles and things like that. So thank you for the question. Twistina, thank you so much for being here. Hello to you. Thank you for being here this morning. God bless you for coming out. And the petition, you guys go out to go pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, hit that petition button and sign that petition. I really need you to continue to do so. We're almost getting up to that 150,000. That's the next goal. I really appreciate you guys continually to sign that petition. That petition is your voice, is a voice for me, and it's also have the backing of the people when I do get those information out to these law enforcement agencies. I know I've been saying it for a while. It's a process, and it's taking a while. It's going to continue to take a while, but I want to make sure everything is done correctly. And one of those biggest things is because I'm still waiting on a lot of stuff from this forensics done, and a lot of stuff that will come back from that. But according to what we have here now, also to the GoFundMe website, we have what Shauna put here. We just hit 115,000 voices for Daniel. And I like the way she put that, voices, because that's exactly what it is. I don't like to call them signatures. I don't like to call them numbers. That is your voice. It's you. You as a person who go out there and sign those petitions. Also, the more times you sign it, the louder your voice is. You know, of course, you can sign that petition multiple times if you have multiple emails. So it goes by email, your email address, so you can do it multiple times. I really appreciate that too. You know, saying you guys can do that. Extend your voice. You know, saying if you have multiple emails, please sign it more than once. But thank you so much. Yes, exactly what she says. We have 115,000 voices for Daniel. You guys are speaking loud and say, hey, we want justice for my son. And I'm not leaving here without him being treated fairly. You know, saying justice for Daniel to make sure that his case, like I said, is treated fairly. And also that these things that need to be done, like forensics work and all the stuff, is and being done correctly is needed. So thank you, Shauna. Melissa, and thank you so much for being here this morning. McWilliams, praying for fine answers. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for your prayers. Thank you, Crystal, for being here this morning on this Q&A. Thank you, Loretta, for being here this morning. God bless you for that, coming out here this morning. Again, if you guys have any questions, please use the word questions, or the word question, the question mark, or big capital letter Q before your question. That helped me find it as I'm coming down the comment section. So again, I'm strolling down this comment section to do that. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button to help this channel, this YouTube channel, grow. I do have a question here from Shauna. Thank you, Shauna, for your question this morning. And the question that went, I'm sorry. See, I look at the word question, I saw that, and I'm thinking this question there, but thank you, Shauna, for putting the information up there about how people, how you guys can help me find those questions. See, I helped me found the information that she put up there. When asking questions, start with the capital letter Q, or the question, or question marks. And it makes it a lot easier for me to see it as I'm coming down. Sometimes I see, you guys put a lot of information there. I can't tell if it's a question or you're just making a long comment. So I try to speed read. A lot of times it's very short. I can speed read that, and then it end up being a question. I can go ahead and take that. But that's how they happen. I do see one because I sat here, and I just want to put that up. Comment. Yes, you can. She said, Cat Lover 33 said, just prayed for a miracle. Contact Dave Paulides. If I say Paulides, if I say that correctly, he covered the cases, but I could contact him personally and have him redo. Redo it with update details. He has a wide outreach. And thank you for that name. I think I heard of his name before. So thank you so much for putting that out there. Cat Lover 33, I really appreciate it. And you guys, that's a lot of you give me these tips and things like that of ways to get some help for my son. And I take those things. I take those things, I write them down and look into those things. So really thank you so much for it, and just keep it coming. I had She Rose Nation, for instance, came out in this comment, this Q&A, and asked a simple question because she was asking something that was logically sound. And, so when you guys do that, these questions to what you did at Cat Lover 33, that's how I get information. Like, nobody's a professional here coming out, as a family member. I'm just a father looking for my son. I'm not a professional. I haven't been going out there all my life, finding missing people. I didn't have a missing person in my family until my son went missing. So you don't come with a manual or things, how to do things. So I had to build things from the ground up. Of course, I'm learning as I go. So, of course, in a bad way, I am becoming very knowledgeable about certain things, that's avenues and things that's out there that can help. So, a lot of families don't know that. So it comes over time. As long as you're out there, keep trying to find your loved one, that knowledge to come. So thanks so much, Cat Lover 33. Also, I have a question here from Got Your Cake. The clothes that were found, were they verified with his coworkers as the clothes he wore on to work that day? Now, I want to tell you guys again, and I'm just asking this question, but I want to say again that on that report, the Buckeye Police Department put that coworkers with an S, plural. They use a lot of things plural, because when they gave me one picture, that's how I found out about all these pictures, like this one behind me that I was able to use to make this poster. Chief Hall was using the word plural, but they only gave me one picture, and that's when I realized they took all these pictures that it just didn't give me. You give me one picture out of all of those, but they use the word plural, and when it comes to the coworkers, and they say the coworkers said that Daniel been acting odd. I talk to that company all the time. You can imagine, like I told you guys, I do my own investigation. I go up there and sit with the owners of that company, sit with his boss and some of the other office workers up there who they from that company. And not one time I heard them tell me a bunch of workers and stuff saying Daniel was acting odd and strange. There's only one worker that they did talk to, and that was Daniel's really close guy that's a friend of Daniel from that job, for instance, right? And they talked to that one, but they put in a report, coworkers said he was acting odd and strange and things like that, right? And what I want to say, when you ask that question about the coworkers, they wouldn't know what Daniel was wearing that day. Daniel is a field geologist. That is his title. He's a field geologist. A field geologist means that he's literally out there in the field. He have a work computer. Daniel just, and this is something you guys need to know also. Daniel just finished building his computer. And when I say his personal computer, he just built it. Of course, my major was computer engineer for college when I was in college, and he came to me for advice on how on his building up on that computer. Very proud of that. Very proud of the computer. He built it on his own, and he just finished building that computer himself. And his main reason, he told me, he wanted a computer. He wanted to put more RAM or power into that thing, and he wanted to use it. Also, he's tired. He didn't want to use their laptop, his work laptop. He wanted all this information to come on his personal computer and make it a lot easier for him to get his assignments. And then he to take his work laptop with him out there on the field. But he get his assignments. He don't go into the office. I talked to them at his company before in the past. They told me that they rarely seen Daniel in the office. So that morning, for instance, they don't know what Daniel was wearing. None of the workers at his job know what he's wearing or anything like that. He came straight from his home, went to the first well site, and went to the second well site under his assignment. He got assignment. Only person that seen what my son was wearing that day was this guy from that company, Weber, and that's what he couldn't describe what Daniel was wearing. He only mentioned the safety vest, and he always talk about these weird things like, oh, I noticed his boots untied, but he couldn't give. He said, hey, safety vest and boot. Didn't tell you what kind of jeans he's wearing, or he was wearing jeans at all. His shirt, but he's the same guy who said something about the boots untied. Also saying he was looking into my son's eyes. I guess things that doctors do and see if they're dilated. He said he knows that my son's eyes wasn't dilated, and so that type thing in the broad daylight, he's able to look into my son's eyes and see if they are dilated or not. That type deal. As you imagine, can you imagine with black eyes? I don't have no really bright color brown eyes or any kind of thing like that where you can see the center of my eye to see if they are dilated or not, especially in the daylight. You won't see that at all. But he said he was able to do that and determine about my son's eyes and all this stuff. So, all this kind of stories is out there. But I'm saying, as in from the clothes, no, they didn't have no. We just going by what the story of this worker from that well said. But then when this vehicle was found, they said the clothes. I mean, that's another thing, you guys. And you asked this question; those are common sense questions. I told you I do things by if it don't make sense to me, it just don't make sense. I like things to make sense, and I like the logics of things. That's exactly how me and my children, they're scientists. All of them are scientists. We have the scientist kind of brain. If you was to jump into a conversation with me and my children, it'll go to things like that. We break things down, and that's the way we like to do. We always break everything down and try to put logic to a lot of stuff. So one of the things, if you think of just like what you asked that question, the first thing the detective would ask on that ground is that really Daniel's clothing? You know, anybody could throw some clothing down on the ground up here and put his wallet in there and all kind of stuff to say that's his clothing. They don't even want to know if it's his clothes. They haven't done any forensics work on that scene to determine if it's indeed Daniel's clothing that's sitting on the ground. So we really don't know. All this is just by speculations. Just like the department says, hey, your son didn't receive he didn't get injured because we didn't see any blood in the vehicle. And I asked him the question in that meeting, how you know there's no blood in the vehicle? Have you tested that vehicle for any trace of blood? No, I didn't see any blood in that vehicle. So therefore, there's no blood in the vehicle. That's not how you approach things if you really want to find out the truth about answers. But, they looked at the scene, this young man, they don't have a care, in my opinion, and they just dismissed it, gave me everything that was on that scene without doing forensic work and everything else like that, and just carry on. So as in the clothes, we don't know. We don't know if those Daniel clothes or not. We don't know what he was actually wearing that day he went missing, because the guy at the well, he don't even describe Daniel's clothes correctly. So we really don't know. We're going by the narrative the Buckeye Police Department gave after the fact to say that's your son clothing on the ground. That's the only thing I can go by. I don't know what my son have been wearing. He could have been wearing what you see on this poster that day. I don't know. But but that's what we see on the ground, and that's what the Buckeye Police Department telling us it was on the ground and it belongs to Daniel. They haven't done anything to prove that. They say it was Daniel's clothing to this date. Okay. All right. Thank you for this question. Thank you, Tanya, for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for. I'm really thankful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being supportive and everything. I really appreciate it, Tanya. Thank you so much for being very supportive to this effort to find my son, because I need you guys out here. Thank you, Yunu, for your comment. I really appreciate you. Angelica, thank you for being here this morning, and also Latoya. Thank you so much. I told you every time you come on, I really smile. I know you're a long time, and your dad is my best friend. So I'm really grateful that you're coming out and your family. I love you and your family. So thank you so much for showing up and putting that smile on my face and seeing you out here this morning. So thank you so much. God bless you. Again, we have the coming soon is a petition event at the end of May. We do have a petition event at the end of May. All are welcome to participate in your own cities. We're going to have those details on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, and also hopefully when that website come up for the foundation. So be out looking for that. Thank you, Shauna, for putting that out. So I really appreciate it. God bless you for that. And y'all, you guys, you have the events tab also on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, or we'll start having those things out there on that events tab. So again, please look out for that. Thank you, Loretta Lee, for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. God bless you. And I'm hoping I can find it's going on. It's 10 months now. It's going on 11 months. Otherwise, it's going to be a year. We got to, one thing that hurt me really bad, I'm constantly working hard trying to find my son, and time just go by. I mean, like my days run together. Sometimes I don't know what day it is, and I run out of time. I over talk and be on this Q&A too long, for instance. But one thing that is coming up is the anniversary. I don't find my son. Don't you know, you guys, it'll be a year if I can't find my son before that time. That's very hurtful. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I had to report back to his mother, to his siblings and things like that. I'm sure they know that too. And, just talk to my family about it. That's very a hard pill to swallow, to know that time has passed by that fast, and my son has been. That means it's been over a year, going on a year since the last time I even spoke to my son. You know how hard that is. I listened to the little clip I put on in the beginning of this Q&A. I had to hear my son's voice in my ear when I play certain things. It hurts. When the reality actually hits you in your head and you realize, hey, I haven't even talked to my son today. I don't know how he's doing. He ain't got the opportunity to ask me these questions he like to ask me, or tell me what he want to do and get my advice about something, So, those things I'll tell you guys, if you got loved ones, and especially if you got any kind of quarrels with your loved ones, you need to make sure that you squash those quarrels, because you know what, you may never ever have it. I'm not saying me and Daniel had quarrels, because we didn't. I'm just saying for families, period, just holding your loved one really close to you, especially your children, because you never know. Like myself, I was on my back porch area, watching television, and I get that phone call, and then I'm out. Next thing you know, I'm out here in the desert for over 10 months now, searching for my son. It's hurtful. It's very hurtful. So you guys can understand that. Just please, hold your loved ones really close to you. So thank you, Loretta, for being here this morning. All right, Aaron Chase, I have a question here. Did the coworker say why he felt compelled to follow Daniel's tracks to look for him? Has it been considered he may have actually been chasing Daniel? I consider everything. I don't know. When I met this guy and I put the guy at the well for the question, he was driving a white vehicle when he came up to see me. I don't know what color vehicle he actually have. I don't know what he was driving that day, but I just know there are some red transfer paint on my son's vehicle, indicating his vehicle came in contact with something red, whether it's a red pole, whether it's a red vehicle. It came from somewhere. It didn't come from the desert terrain itself. I'm saying, when I said desert, it could have been a red vehicle in that desert he came across, but it's nothing red in that desert. The nature don't produce any red rocks or red paint on a tree or something. That comes from us. So that's one thing. The other part is, like you said, those questions. Did the worker say he's compared? One thing he did. He said there's two stories I heard from that Buckeye Police Department when he was asking these co-workers and asking him questions when they report back to me. One officer told me that he said he just took it upon himself from out of the blue to say, hey, you know what? I guess Daniel been gone too long. I'm gonna go look out to see where he went. Then the other officer said he said Daniel's job called him and inquired about Daniel, and that's what caused him to go look for Daniel. So I heard two different stories. And then from out his own mouth to me, he told me those stories about that he just took it upon himself to go look for Daniel, but he also added those extra things like staying left of the tracks so he don't disturb him, because he knows it's going to be big and it's going to turn national. The news, the police department going to come looking for him. Things like that. The things he had to say to me about that, going on the hill and spraying rocks with red paint, to help the officer know where the tracks are. Things like that. One thing, like you said, Aaron, that sticks with me on that whole story, the narrative that from this worker. And I'm saying, you guys, why it takes a father who I want to grieve my son's disappearance so bad, but I can't allow myself to become emotional. That's something I think I learned when I was in the military fighting for this country, is when you got to put the mission first. My son is my mission, and I have to put him first before my own feelings, before my own emotions, and I have to stay physically and mentally sharp to make sure that I can be effective for my son. So that's the reason why you guys don't see me on here. I'm not a crying man. I'm not crying and carrying on. I'm just gonna stay strong for my son. So, one of the things that got me about this whole story about that well, my son just wave off and disappear. If you was that concerned and you said you went to go follow his tracks, and you noticed that his tracks went west, or whatever story you want to go with from this guy, why do you just make a simple phone call? You call my son texts you, text him to find out what his location is, and call him to find out how to get to this location, and also to meet him on the road. My son had to follow him into this well. So why didn't he just make a simple call? If it was 9 o'clock and you was that concerned and he drove off, rather the co-workers called and asked about him, why did they call? So the whole point is, I'm saying, if this guy said he went on looking for Daniel and he must have alerted to that's one thing I had to go ask this company too. Who called who first? Did this guy call and say, hey, Daniel didn't come back and blah, 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 so on, so on, so on? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing, if I was concerned about somebody who I thought was acting odd and strange and they just drove off, I would call the company for one thing, and I definitely would have called that person. I had the phone number. If I was that concerned, go follow their tracks. Why I want to go through all that, go a mile farther, myself going farther out into the desert area, to the remote area, walking on foot and all kind of crazy mess, looking for someone that I ain't make a phone call. You know what I'm saying? You know, that type deal immediately. So the thing is, I'm saying is the story just don't make sense to me. I'll make the phone call first, and then I'll take it upon myself with the aid of somebody, let somebody know what's going on to go search for this person. So I'm gonna just go search without making a phone call. And you just talk to the person to get to the well site. Just tell them how you got there, so you know they don't know where they're going. You have their phone number, so you know the type deal. So things just don't add up and don't make sense sometimes to me personally. So thank you so much, Aaron, for those questions. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jennifer, again for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Melissa. Again, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you, Elaine, for being here. Thank you so much. And I think you're different, Elaine. Last time I was speaking about your name, I do have Elaine work out here in the desert searches. You know, very, very big part of the team out there in the efforts out there in the desert. And I thought you was her. So thank you, Elaine, for being here this morning. Thank you, Tisa Field, for your question. You guys have questions just like Tisa Field did. You can put a big question mark there that helps. And also, you know, put a big question word question there or a Q or something to indicate I can help me find your question as it comes down the comment section. Tisa Field, question is, do you stay in contact with Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office and surrounding counties Medical Examiner's Office? Maricopa has recently listed about 5 new unidentified cases. No, I haven't lately. And I can't tell you that I haven't lately. So, yes, that's one thing I will be added to the list to the coming week and things like that. Yeah, check. You say they have 5 more, and they constantly, I'm sure, having these unidentified people because just this year, right out in the same area where my son was missing, there was another person found out there freshly out there from what I'm hearing was murdered or something out there. So yeah, of course we need to go check out those things, check out every avenue that I can. So thank you for putting that out, Tisa Field, and I will be looking into that also for more information. Thank you, Barry, putting this out Wednesday. We do May 25th. You guys can remember the fast and the prayer. We do this every Wednesday that's close to the date that Daniel, the anniversary date every month of the date of the 23rd that Daniel went missing. He went missing on June 23rd, so we try to do the fast and prayer on that Wednesday close to the anniversary date. And we chose the date of Wednesday. So if you guys can join in, a lot of great things happen. Crime Con and things, the ability to get Daniel's story out there and all that, all this happened from fast and prayer. Fast and prayer for me had helped me mentally, helped me in all kind of other directions. When I thought I was going to have to get out of here, y'all, at some points, God had blessed that, you know, that I was able to stay, you know, stay here to continue to fight for my son. So, you know, a lot of things come out of fast and prayer. I need that. I need answers. I need some clarities. Fast and prayer, we know we're doing things together in strength. You know how I keep saying, I know a lot of you also are believers, and I'm really grateful for you being here. We're prayer warriors, and fasting not only help get things that we're asking for, but also help you as an individual. So whether you have you're a person of faith and believe in fast and prayer or not, it's not going to hurt anybody to take some time off and push that plate away. And we're doing this thing together, doing something together in unity. So really, I really appreciate you guys who came and been doing this fasting and prayer with us, and my team, and for Daniel. So I'm really grateful, and also for those other families who've gone through themselves. And not just about my family. This thing's bigger than me and my family, and for Daniel and our family. But we're praying for and fasting for those folks also. But we need those clarities to help find my son. That's what I'm out here since June 26th doing, is looking out for my son, trying to find my son. And thank you again, Barry, for putting it out. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. If you guys can, and thank you guys for sharing. Thank you, LL, for being here this morning. I really appreciate you coming out. I do have a question here from Twistina. Thank you, Twistina, for your question. Have you found any other physical evidence besides that what was left behind at the Jeep? Yes, well, I found another cell phone near. That always keep coming. It always bothers me, all the stuff we do find out there from human remains. Before the vehicle showed up, well, after the vehicle showed up, there was another pile of clothes, just like my son's clothes, think about this. This stuff you guys don't see in the report or anything like that. But we found a pile of clothes. Think about this. In the same manner that they say my son's clothes was in a pile. Whoever clothes was, same deal. Underwear down to underwear and socks in a pile. And you know, the thing about that is I knew that it wasn't Daniel's part of Daniel because his pant size was too big. This is a larger person. But you know, just think about that. We find human remains out there that the police department, they have all the specialized equipment, all the dogs and everything else, right? And here we are, just grassroots people. I'm just calling out to come out there and help me in my searches. And we found the human remains. We found the human skull near the well site. I mean, near the crash site here. And you know, there's all kind of stuff. Like I said, a pile of clothing that's very suspicious. It kind of made me think it was a serial killer out there because it was in the same manner my son's clothing out there that you guys didn't hear about. But it happened, you know, sitting in a pile. So, and then right there near the area where this vehicle is, we found a cell phone out there, volunteer. So they haven't found a construction cone. I keep using my son. You can see that safety vest right here sitting behind me, right here. I see my thumb right there. That's my son's safety vest. You see what that color is? Construction cones of that color. He wear a safety vest out there in the desert so he can be seen, right? And you trying to tell me you got cadaver dogs with an S. They love to use that word plural. You got search dogs with an S, tracking dogs with an S. You got helicopters, the Phoenix Firebird helicopter, man hanging out we flying so low, man hanging out the window. You can, Mr. Robinson, you can put your hand up there and touch the bottom of the helicopter when they flying so low. We're using drones, we're using all this kind of stuff. We searched real hard for 20-some hours for your son, and they haven't come up with a construction cone. But we're volunteers and people like myself who don't have any kind of equipment that they have and have been asking for. And we finding human remains to clothing, cell phones, and you name it out there in that desert, right? You know, so think about that. Think about how important, if we can find those things, they haven't found anything, think about how important they really think my son, it really is to them. And what they're really doing, if they really were searching for my son, or they really even did it, all this fictitious stuff they were saying, just to put in a report. Because if you can't find nothing, you haven't found anything, and you can't even find a video of my son ever driving around Arizona. You can't find a cell phone pings that show location where my son was on that day and stuff like that. You cannot get Uconnect information off. I mean, everything we ask for, they cannot get. They don't have. They don't know how. Can't even find nothing. And you saying, and I had the FBI tell me the other day that they did that case review, the Buckeye Police Department, whatever. Whatever. I'm sure they did. What they do is, and I called them doing it before because I had to call Maricopa County before. They take credit for everything that I'm doing out there in my searches. Just like I called them, I had to take them off of my tip line. The detective will call me on my tip line and didn't give me my information that I'm paying for. Buckeye ain't paying for this tip line. I'm paying for that. The tip line that's still on the bottom now. I'm paying for the service I'm paying out of my pocket. And he gonna get some information and then share it with me and take it off. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't work for no Buckeye. I don't work for Buckeye. They work for me, you know? And so they try to take credit for everything. Like I'm a worker for them. And they don't have to do anything, but then they go behind in this media and everything and say, we did this, we did that. And I'm sure that's what they did with the FBI, because that's why they want to be in a part of that case brief, because they did that also by claiming that human skull and some of the human remains that we found out there in that desert. And I would have known that if one of you guys haven't checked that Maricopa County, like the young lady Field did ask me about the medical exam office. If they didn't say anything, I wouldn't have saw that. I called the medical examiner's office and I told them, hey, y'all falsifying reports. They wrote me back an apology letter and changed those things to reflect that those things were found in my searches, right? So, but it had it listed, Buckeye had it listed as they found the human remains, they found the human skull, and they go out and put it to these reporters and things. So they're taking credit for work that I'm doing out there, and being the volunteers out there working hard and doing what they haven't done. So I'm telling you guys, you said other physical evidence, yes. Cell phone, clothing, you know what I'm saying? This all kind of suspicious items. There's some other things was found out there, but I'm not going to mention because, you know, those things have to be forensically done too. So if it having in relations to my son, then I have to make sure those things get taken care of. Also, I really, really need this forensic stuff done, you guys, and I'm really pushing hard to get those funding. That's why I'm thank God for this Daniel Robinson Foundation, and that can also help along that path. But thank you so much, Twistina, for reaching out and giving the questions. Thank you, Barry, again for putting the information. Like, share, and subscribe, you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Toby, for your question. I do have a question here from Toby from Rochester. Thank you so much for being here this morning off of Facebook. Is the story from the last person to have seen him believed to be true? You know what? I would never call a person a liar because I just don't have those total answers with it. But yeah, for me personally, I don't believe it's true. I really don't. I believe there's a lot of fictitious statements into that whole story. The whole story just to me just don't add up. Like I said earlier before, of course, when I started my searches, it was based on what this guy said at the well. I mean, I didn't know. So I had to go by the available evidence that I had at the time. And that was just his word. That's what the police put in their report without vetting it the way I vetting things now. And when I started vetting things as time go by, I more and more I question his story to this date. So, so no, I don't have any beliefs in that story. And then I first saw you on Kendall Ray. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really grateful for Kendall and Josh for having me on this show, man. There are some great people, if you guys met them in person, I know you guys probably can tell just being on their show. Very kind people, very kind. Josh, he picked me up from the hotel, and we had our conversation there. I mean, he's just very detailed and really want to help, like genuinely. You can tell the difference when people who just doing a show just to be doing it, they're in for something else. But no, these people are in for helping people. Where I can tell the way they came off for me and allowed me to tell my son's story on their platform. They use their platform for that reason. So, I really enjoyed being on the Kendall Ray show, and I'm really grateful for them. Also, you say you signed a petition. I really appreciate that. You guys, go pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, get that petition. And you say you signed it. That's your voice, Toby. So thank you so much for putting your voice out there. You have multiple emails you can make your voice a lot louder, like I said before. And I really appreciate you doing that. That's what the Q&A for is, for you to be able to catch up on this on my son's case. So by all means, please continue to ask those questions, and whatever I can answer, I will, and whatever I can't, I will tell you that, especially if it's something with the investigation part of it. But we are praying for a miracle. I'm praying for a miracle also. That's why you guys, we are having that fasting and prayer. We also praying every day. Saying men should always pray and not faint. That means that you all should pray every day. And I do that, and I ask God for those miracles and I ask him for that help. But you know what? You can pray, but you got to put some actions behind your faith. And I really believe that God's going to bring me my son. And, but you got to put some faith actions behind your faith. And that's why I'm being out here for 10 months, working very hard in every angle and everywhere that I can. Like I say, I'm not an expert, and I'm trying to do the best I can to find my son. I think any father and a mother would do the same thing I'm doing. And, any good mother and good father would be doing, I wouldn't want to really even say it that way either. I just want to say everybody have their proper gifts. God gave me the ability to get a mindset that I have, and I love my children, and I'm going to do everything I can and push really hard to, make sure they're okay, whether they're grown or not, adult, little child, whatever. They're mine. You know what I'm saying? So when I say mine, they're my children. To me, and I don't care how old they get, they're mine to me. And I'm going to make sure they're okay. Make sure Daniel have the opportunity to finish what he started. Daniel like I say, he want to be a multi-millionaire before he turned 30. His entrepreneurship, he wanted to span his career in geology to do a lot more, start his own company one day, all that kind of stuff. He had dreams, aspirations, and goals, and I want to make sure I can see to it that he complete those goals. That's what we do. We make our next generator better than the first. So that's my goal for my children. LL, question. Have you found a water geologist to look at the water data in Daniel's laptop and examine the soil samples to see what Daniel found? Well, you know what, LL, a lot of that information, all of that data and stuff is in those evidence bags, still in those evidence bags to this date. Only person who opened those evidence bags was my former investigator. I haven't touched any of those items to this date. When I send up, like, for instance, cell phone, things like that, I have to send it the original, the way it is, to a lab, for instance. So those things are going to the lab. Once I get the funding for those, they have to look into that data and things like that on the laptop to examine those stuff, the soil, and forensically, but the electronic part of it, That's a different lab that we handle that, get that information from that, from that, from those devices and things like that. So all that is, coming. But I'm working really hard, like I said, to get that stuff tested and done. But yes, I definitely have some logs and things that Daniel took pictures of, and I do need a field geologist, somebody who know how to read those things. And I'm still looking to a proper person for that. I did find one person, but then after speaking to that person, I didn't feel really comfortable, so I'm moving on to the next and try to find someone who can read that kind of data. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you. Please, thank you for putting that up. I was about to say, please have finddan.com. That is our channel. Thank you for the administrator, my team member who's putting it up. I really appreciate you being there working from the Facebook side. Also, thanking Aaron for your question, for being here this morning. Also, did law enforcement wipe Daniel's phone, or was it already wiped when it was found? I don't know when it was wiped. All I know is when Buckeye Police Department Chief Detective Biffin gave me that cell phone, it was wiped. He gave it to me wiped. He gave it to me without the memory card in it. One thing I asked him was about the memory card. He said nobody else had access to that phone. He said that when he got that phone off the scene, he put it in his back pocket, I don't know, say back pocket, but he'd say he put it in his pocket, and nobody else had access to that phone. So when and how? First of all, he shouldn't have had it taken off the scene. I was saying that's the kind of stuff anyway. No friends have done it on the scene, but you know what? He collected that cell phone, and when they gave that phone to me, it was missing the memory card that I just recently purchased for Daniel some months before. But for more memory, that's missing, and also a lot of information in that phone. His Google history and Google Maps was missing also out of that phone. So who done it and when, I don't know. That's why the forensics labs can determine a lot of stuff, what went down with that phone. So still waiting on that kind of information. So thank you so much, Aaron, for that question. I really appreciate it that you're coming out this morning. Again, I'm Dave Robinson. For those who just coming in, Dave Robinson, father geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. My son went missing on June 23rd out there in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona. I'm here doing a Q&A to answer some of the questions of everybody who's been supportive and helping me in my efforts to find my son who have these questions, and want some answers. I'll try to also give information about about the foundation that has been filed, and also the Daniel Robinson Foundation, and also information about upcoming events and things like that, and my efforts to find my son. So that's what this channel is for, to bring awareness to Daniel's case, to get it out there far as I can. Like I tell families, hey, whenever the lights go out, the cameras go away, and things like that. My son's case had made it to national attention, and then have since then dropped because, like I said, you guys, sometimes the stories get boring and stagnated to some of these networks and things like that, and they have to move on to different things. They have bosses and stuff. No matter how much of the reporter themselves or the journalist is passionate about something, that network has the determining factor if that goes on the air or not. So because of that, I tell families, you need to be prepared to create your own YouTube channel. I found out, like for me, before my son went missing, YouTube for me was just a tool to find out how to do things. Hey, how to put a roof on a house, or how to take this engine out this car or something. That was a tool. It was never for look at YouTube channels, and I didn't know anything about all this. These channels that people have, and I mean, just followers and all. I didn't know anything about all that until my son went missing, and I found out that people do utilize YouTube to get their information out. So a lot of people watch YouTube more than they watch the news. So it was his ability to get Dane's story out there. So I think a person like Gisela K from Grizzly True Crime, who helped me get this channel going, and gave me all the information that I needed to just have this channel, and put the channel out there so I can bring some awareness to my son's case. Myself, I don't have to rely on a news network to put Daniel's story out there. I had to bust my tail and work hard, and you guys helping me. You're the ones that got me to 1,000 subscribers right now on this channel, and I really appreciate you guys sharing, and subscribing, and getting more people to follow this YouTube channel, and get me out there to be able to reach more people. That's what I'm here for. Outside of searching for my son, I'm also bringing this awareness to his case. So you guys help me with that. Word of mouth is bigger than anything. It's bigger than any news channel. And so, you guys do that. I'm really grateful. Thank you, She Rose Nation, again, for being here. I just mentioned you earlier. Thank you for coming out to this Q&A. You asked a lot of great questions, and, you have a lot of logics to your questions. So thanks so much for that. You got to say follow the red flags. Yes, you really have to. Yes, and that was a red flag. I'm sure you're assuming to those things that don't make sense. To those stories of what happened to my son that we have to follow. I'm following the story. I'm out there in the desert. My search was based on what this guy said that last seen my son. That's what the searches in the desert are based on. Then logics, the flyer distribution is based on logics. It's logical for me to go out there, since I don't know, to spread awareness as far as I can and try to find out anybody having information to awareness to this case for funding and things like that. It comes in all kind of help in all kind of ways, So more people come, more funding for me to be able to continue my searches, for instance, and to get this stuff done. So everything, you have to do everything the proper way. So you're right. You got to follow the red flags. Something don't sound right. You start asking questions about that. You don't do what this department done and say, this man just say, hey, this man said, just like they assume, hey, we canceled his flight. If Dan wanted, if he wanted to disappear and whatever, he can. I mean, how you know he wanted to disappear? Who told you that? Did he tell you that? Did you call and say, hey, y'all, Buckeye, I know y'all look for me, but I'll let you know I want to disappear. I mean, who said that? Why you just come up with that kind of assumption? And that's the kind of thing that this foundation will be helping. That's what my advocacy will be fighting against, all these assumptions. And the assumption should always be that something bad happened to people, loved one, when they call and say, hey, my person is missing. We know when a pattern has been broken, a person, something is not right. They would know if something, their child or anybody in their family did something and they know that's not right for them. They know, I mean, who the best know the kind of answers than a family member instead of some damn coworker, excuse my expression, that you want to put in your report. But, it stuns me how the logic and the thinking these people come up with just so they don't have to do anything, that type deal. So thank you also, Angelica, for your question. What do Daniel's best friend think happened to him? Have they provided any insight into personal life that may be helpful? Well, Daniel's I don't know who is his best friend. Daniel never expressed to me. Well, I do know one guy I would assume to be kind of close to. I would outside say it was Daniel's best friend. Daniel never had anybody he said, hey, Dad, this is my best friend, whoever. But I know he had friends. And one of those things, when it comes to the job, he had one friend from that job. And, I have a question to him. No, I talked to him. Spoke to him a lot in these meetings. He kind of expressed his sympathy of what's going on. He's feeling sad. He always had this look on his face. So I was told that my investigator said my ex-investigator said that he spoke to him just as much as the Buckeye Police Department told me they spoke to him. I never hear anybody ever, really dig into people to find out some information. So not even my own investigator at the time. He just talked to these people. So I don't know. I don't know have any best friends that Daniel have, but I just know he has some friends. One of them was a coworker of his in that company. So thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it that you're coming out, Angelica, and giving your question. You guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. Thank you, Crystal, for being here. And I don't know if I missed anything, but I see you had the 2 Qs there. I don't know if that's in relating to the questions, but I don't see any questions there that I may have missed. But if I did, you guys ask the question again. I do have one from Mr. Short. Good morning, Mr. Robinson. Have you been able to take time and get to the gym lately? Oh, you think I'm getting smaller or something? You know what? I am probably getting smaller, but the gym, I know what you're saying, though. The gym, I don't have time. I need to get time to get out and, work out. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for this. Everybody, Mr. Short, the search coordinator and also logistic coordinator for the searches when I was out there in the searches. So I thank him and his wife, Leanne, for hard work, working really hard out there. So grateful for that. them being out there doing that and taking all the time. And, you know, like I said, it's a grassroots thing. Everybody who's out there, a part of the team and stuff like that, are volunteers. And Mr. Short here volunteers services to be out there with me, help me find my son. So I'm really grateful for that, and also for the other ones who comes in the chat. Also, like I said, really grateful. So anyway, back to the question or the comment. Yes, no, I haven't been to the gym lately. They have the time. I'll keep saying it. Saying it does release stress. Yes, I was a lot more muscular and everything else, but it relieves a lot more stress when you go to the gym, and it's very stressful. You say that because you know how stressful doing everything is. Trying to juggle a lot of hats and try to do a lot of things at one time, it can kind of screw you around, in a lot of ways. So yes, I will still consider making sure I get to the gym. Matter of fact, I have the gym equipment that I brought back from South Carolina here, but never used it. It just sits there. Oh, I'm going to use it this time. I'm going to take whatever, and just don't find the time to do it. But I'm going to be working on that because it does help out with stress. So, okay, I do see LL. Yeah, about the pile of clothes. I'm just looking at it. Guys, like I said, I just happen to see this. But please, if you have a question or anything like that, please put the word question there, capital Q, or things like that to help me find your question. But yes, the other pile of clothes, a lot of people don't hear a lot of things that out there in the desert that was found. So, that is out there. All right, She Rose Nation, thank you again for being here. Thank you for your comment. I really appreciate it. So I'm getting close down to the end of this Q&A, you guys. I do have a lot to do today. I have, just tons of things, especially with the foundation, working on some things. So you got, again, the foundation, Daniel Robinson Foundation, has been filed and putting some things together. We have a meeting today, for instance, to get some other things taken care of with that. So look forward to it. It will be very beneficial to other families also. And, that's a passion of mine. It's been created, I founded that because the passion for my son, finding my son, and also the passion of other families who going through the similar same thing. I'm also working on somebody say, hey, no, I always say, hey, look, if I had somebody to give me a guide of what to do, you have a missing person. Hopefully nobody ever had to use it, but I'm making this, guide to the steps and things like that you should take when you're going out to search for your loved one. So to help another family who happen to be able to utilize that, and maybe to help them in some form, what I've done to get to this point, and maybe that can help a family and they can do a lot more, in terms of finding their loved one. There's a lot of trial and error into finding your loved one. Like I said, nobody's expert. I just been lucky to have people like yourself that came out to join out there in the searches. And just everything, the donations to, you name it. I just been fortunate to have you guys having my back. So really grateful for you. All right. T. Sophia, have a question there. Thank you so much for your question. The question is, do you know if the police found Daniel's phone and tried to turn it on? Phone, did it have any battery, or did the police need to charge it to get to turn on? Yeah, they had to charge it. They had told me that. They charged the phone. In fact, they asked for the passwords to get into the phone. So they would have to go try to get in the phone in a different other kind of way. I'm assuming it's because they didn't say it, but I'm sure it's probably because they felt they had to get a warrant to go on my son's phone. Now, I can't tell you they told me they cloned the phone. That is against the law, I believe, what I was told. So the reason why they cloned Daniel's phone, I do not know. But also, but I have a recorded call for that. They cloned the phone. However, like I said, they told me, hey, he had to charge the phone. The phone was dead, and I knew the phone was dead. And the reason I know that is because we was calling it. Daniel went missing. We knew something wrong. You best believe the entire family was calling his phone back to back. You got a lot of phone calls on that phone. The phone was ringing, and finally go to voicemail. But then eventually, like I said, you could tell it died because when you call it, it went straight to voicemail. So that's when it was the end of the battery source. But it almost took a day, almost a day after he went missing, for it finally got to that point. So yes, they had to charge it up, and also we provided those passwords. My children was able to get them the password to his phone. All right. I say thank you, Tanya M, for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. God bless you too. I really appreciate you coming out. I do have a question here from Aaron. Question: Is the whole starting point based on what the coworker said? Yes. Well, I know you guys use the word coworker, but I keep saying the worker, because I know Daniel and that guy, they work through different companies. But yes, this whole thing. When I came here to Arizona, much as I started an investigation of my own mentally and everything, searching to find out what happened to my son, I don't think I could go by what the police said. I was working with the Buckeye Police Department. When I say working with them, trying to provide everything I could to try to help me find my son, right? And one thing they told me what this guy said at that well site, also me personally talking to him and get the story from him out of his own mouth. So that's what that's why I got him staying left of the tracks and he painting the red rocks, all that stuff. He told me that to me, and also the witness I had that day. But you know what? The whole narrative is based on his story. Up to this point, all them weeks out there in that desert searching for my son, finally this year started going backtracking, and I took this story and you see the video here on this YouTube channel where I did follow those tracks and redid what he said. As he said, my son came into that, and none of it makes sense. To make a long story short, none of it makes sense. So yeah, I still question his story. So yeah, everything's based on that. All right, question from Twistina. I think you said at one point you were able to recover the Google history. Yeah, some of it on his phone. Did you go to all the places that were on his map history? Well, yeah, we've been in those areas because of the searching searching with the flyers and things like that. But no, not every exact details. But I can't. I'm not going to put those areas. I do know the areas that I was able to retrieve from that phone from when I went to approach Google myself to get some of that stuff back to Daniel's phone. That type deal. So one thing that do have access to was that phone. I was able to do that. I didn't mess with any other items that was out there. Of course, forensically had to be done forensically, but that cell phone, yes, that it already been contaminated. So I was able to go into that phone and things like that. But as in it comes to getting data that's missing and things like that, that's why it's getting taken care of now. So there's a lot more I'm sure going to come out of that. I get more information. So what I do have now will suggest a lot of things. And so just waiting on this forensics. So I get the forensic stuff finished and that will answer a lot more questions. So thanks so much. All right, have from Brooklyn Rose question: were you able to gain access to Daniel's apartment? If so, were there anything that stood out to you as a father? Also, just to say that you are doing a great job. I really appreciate it, Brooklyn. I kind of laugh a little bit because as a parent, you always gonna see something wrong. The first thing I was thinking is, man, you need to clean this room up, something like that. So I think about the day when I seen finally was into his apartment. Of course, it was one of those things for me as a parent, feeling kind of a certain way. My son is not there, and when I was going to this apartment, more so was the cleanup after my investigator finished doing his job there. So once they finish everything, searching for whatever and all the kind of information they can get from that apartment, the family was able to go into that apartment and to clean up. Because, after it came to a point that, financially we had to make a decision on keeping this apartment, keep paying this monthly rent for his apartment, or just go ahead and put everything in storage. So we decided as a family to go ahead and put things in the storage. And so that's the only thing we was able to do is put those things in storage. And the family from South Carolina, his mother and his brother, took some things that they wanted to keep, and they took it back to South Carolina with them. Everything else been stored away. And that was the hardest part, you guys. I'll tell you what, going through those things, it's hard to go through his things and not know what to keep and what to get rid of. So You know, saying that type deal. So can y'all please excuse me for a second? I'm sorry. All right, thank you guys for holding on. I apologize for that. Anyway, thank you, Brooklyn Rose, for your question. God bless you. I really appreciate it. Thank you also, She Rose Nation, for your question. You know, you guys have a question. Can y'all save it for this evening? I had to get off now, off of this Q&A. I do have a prime time that's coming up at 5:30 today. You guys can join in if I can see you then on the Q&A prime time here in Phoenix at 5:30 p.m. That'll be 8:30 p.m. Eastern time if you guys on the East Coast for Q&A this evening. So I really thank you guys for coming out. I see these comments statement on whole basis of the searches and investigation is unfounded and possibly untrue. It is possible, you know what I'm saying? You know, you know, it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you're right. Logically, it's true. Everything is based on one person's testimony and it's based on what this department allowed in that. Let that go on without vetting the story to make sure this whole narrative is even true. You know, and we still, this department have to literally, you guys got to think about this, Aaron. They literally ignore, that's why they don't put in a report. They literally ignore the fact the man who actually found my son's vehicle said out his own mouth, I even have him on recorded testimony. The vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior to it being there in this ravine on July the 19th. So the department wants you all to ignore that fact and just say on their report, is found by a rancher, but they don't want to tell you what this rancher said, right? Because they want that narrative to stay there that vehicle was out there all the time. We just didn't have to see it because they didn't come out on some news network. Hey, we didn't see it because it's so thick and lush. You guys seen those drone footages and these pictures that I have here. That stuff come up to almost my chest, and it's wide open. If we take the drones up there, you cannot miss that vehicle from that blue, metallic blue, gray type vehicle that don't even match the color of the terrain in that desert out there. You cannot miss that from the air, looking down on the ground if you really was searching for anybody, you know. So all that BS and stuff, and want to keep these narratives out there and just keep my you know, it is too much aggravation. It's too much aggravation, and then they constantly have to deal with a department, and they want you to make them. They try to make themselves look good, and want me to just accept what they got. They give me this BS, and just go back home to South Carolina and be like one of these other families who will never find a loved one ever in life. You know what I'm saying? Because they too lazy to do anything and don't really want to do it. I don't care, give a damn about their money. They need to go ask for money or go to another agency to get some help. What's wrong with that? Go to the FBI and ask them to come in. They got funding. They got federal money. And I know that because we found human remains out there to other people's family who could have been out there for years because the department in their jurisdiction didn't even go out there looking for them. And they just deteriorated out there on that ground. I'd be damned that's going to happen to my son. So, you know what? You know, let me get off this Q&A because I would get angry about certain things. So, yeah. So, you know, so you guys got to keep that in mind. If that's your loved one and you have to deal with, you know, the BS that you have to deal with some of these, you know, stories, even from the police department, you know, it really just bothers you. You know what I'm saying? This bothers your mind how you can actually watch people try to give you BS like that and tell you anything. Your son may have joined a monastery, become a monk, you know, just say anything to you, you know what I'm saying? And think you just gonna go with that. And they, just because they can, I got a gun and a badge and a blue light on my car or something, and you're supposed to just listen to me and that's it. End of story. Do as I say and don't say as I do type deal. It ain't gonna happen in my watch. It ain't gonna happen to my family, and it's not gonna happen to my son. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Robinson, and my son deserved better. What day is with the coworker? The first time Daniel met him. Thank you, Navy girl. This will be my last question. Well, I could tell you that they're supposed to have first. That's the first time they ever met each other, according to this worker. Everything's based on what this worker said. Daniel didn't tell me that. I didn't hear none of this. Nothing. I don't know. All thing I know is from his job and from this guy, him and that guy out there at that well site. That was their first time ever meeting each other, for what I was told. So, like I said again, everything about what happened to my son is based on his narrative. Everything's also based on what this department, the Buckeye Police Department, is saying, their narratives and their theories, and they sticking to it to the point they hired a private. Y'all know that they telling him he had to help me in the searches to find these people out here and find my son and take money to helping me search for my son. They took their money to get the accident reconstruction of their own, who have never seen my son's vehicle, never touched it, physically touched it, look at the damage, to back up their own story that they want to keep, that this vehicle is out there all the time. Daniel wrecked this vehicle out there, and that vehicle been out there, they just didn't see it, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff to make themselves look good, because they say, oh, to give themselves excuses with all this technology they got, and they ain't found a construction cone. And just to say that, and ignore the fact that this rancher said that the vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior. So we got to deal with that, and that's the kind of stuff that's very aggravating to me. That's constantly keep dealing with that with this department. So again, you guys, please come to the Q&A this afternoon at 5:30 p.m. I hope I can see you out there on here on this time, so we can talk about more about Daniel's case. We can talk about the foundation, and you guys can ask questions. So again, I love you. Thanks so much. God bless you, and I hope you have a prosperous and good day. God bless you. Love you.